Hello and welcome. On behalf of Erin Knight and Deb Everhart, I'm Ann Berry, and I'm pleased to be your host today. First, I'd like to introduce you to Pamela Tate, President and CEO of the Council on Adult and Experiential Learning, or CAEL. CAEL seeks to find practical ways to link people's education to their jobs or future careers. They also support ways to link learning from their work and life experiences to their educational goals so they earn their degrees and credentials faster. Pam, welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'd like to just begin just to say again what our vision is for adult learners, for workers, that we are able to achieve meaningful learning credentials and work for every adult. So badges are of particular interest to us. And the world of employers especially, and we have worked with a number of industry sectors across the country and individual employers, including, by the way, my partner today, Jennifer McNally from the Manufacturing Institute. We have also partnered on work together. Employers, in my view, from our experience, are increasingly interested in credentials and certifications, and just beginning now, a few of them are starting to get interested in badges. As Ann said, because they don't have any way of knowing if current employees or the pipeline of people that they are looking for, if they have sufficient skills. They don't feel that the traditional high school credential, or in many cases even college credentials, necessarily have prepared them for jobs. And many look to testing services, for example, the ACT, Work Keys tests, because these employers do lack the confidence that a person with a high school diploma has reading, writing, and math skills, just at the very basic level. That would be a good example of an area of great concern for employers. And my experience is that as the complexity of the job goes up, the complexity grows in how to match the skills required to the formal educational credentials that are out there today. So what I would like to do today is just to, first of all, think about this from the employer's point of view. My sense from working with employers over the past 20-plus years is that they look at four major aspects of talent development. They look at recruitment. They want to be certain of the skills and competencies before they hire someone. They want to look at retention, and I would say also flexibility. They want to have employees that can maneuver in an environment where the skills needs are always changing, and more so all the time. They need to know that the outcomes of their training, the competencies employees are walking away with, that these competencies relate to the company's business needs. And they want to make sure that the training relates to the requirements of the jobs they're in or the jobs they're going to go into. And they also care about the mobility issue. Who can they move where? Who can they promote if needed? The employers are always concerned about all these aspects of talent development, including engagement. Ways to provide employees with ways to work toward career goals. And I've noted that on some of the career development surveys and engagement surveys that we have done, especially younger employees really want to know, am I making progress toward my career goals? And the employer wants to know if they are making progress toward their career goals and if they feel engaged in their work. So in CAEL's work with employers, we're trying to assist in a number of these aspects of this employer lens that I've described to you. And I think the one that most closely relates to badges is our work with putting prior learning assessment services into the workplace. And currently, we are implementing a new service that we call Learning Counts. And I want to talk in a minute about badges and learning counts from the point of view of CAEL's current work. So just to make sure that we all are on the same page about what I mean by prior learning assessment. It's a term that educators have used for a long time. I don't think it's the best term, but it's a term that educators have used to describe a process in which a person's knowledge and skill are evaluated for college credit. And this knowledge and skill can come from on-the-job training or formal corporate training or military training or independent study. There, as this huge enrollment in online courses, MOOCs, the massive online courses, but also lots of other online courses is growing. And even learning from volunteer service. So all of these are ways that people are gaining knowledge outside of their higher education, what I call the academy, as educators like to think of it. So the new service that we have mounted, that we think really could link very closely to badges and perhaps make an integrated system either into higher education or back into the workplace. It works kind of like this. It's a portfolio process where students online, they do this, of course. They put together a portfolio that documents their learning for college credit. And it's kind of like the term portfolio, in fact, came from the notion of an artist's portfolio, where they document their skills and abilities. And a kind of a quick diagram for how that works today, and very quickly here you will see why badges could become a very important part of this in the workplace. The first thing the student does, and I'll talk about this quickly, is they create an account. That they become an account holder. There's no cost. They have a kind of a virtual planning session online with our college credit predictor tool. Again, no cost for this. And then it helps them determine if they have prior learning that might be worth college credit, or if they have college level learning that might be attractive to their employer. They then complete a portfolio development course with us, a 6-week online course, and then they complete a portfolio. They can do it in 3 credit blocks right now, but badges could be smaller blocks that could add up into one of these. And then it's assessed by a faculty member who's a subject matter expert in the field if they want college credit for it. They then hopefully earn the college credit. They can, by the way, they can do multiple portfolios in multiple areas of learning. Different faculty experts can be brought in. They then can get it transcripted, and they can then take it to the college of their choice. Now, there are, of course, lots of details to the process that we don't have time to go through today. But that's essentially the way the process works. And I think what's interesting is that the learning counts process is similar to badges in that it requires evidence. It stores the evidence electronically. It allows the learner to share the evidence with others. It leads to college credit, though, right now. It has the ability to be transcripted for college credit. And in that sense, it links to the what you might call the closed system of higher education credentialing. Now, the interesting thing from the point of view of employers is that some like it because they want the employees to have the degree. They want them to have a formal educational credential. But many other employers simply want people to have the skills. And I think that one of the things that badges can do, and I think it would be great if it were linked together with learning counts, is that it can demonstrate skills whether or not they lead to degrees. Many employers just want the proof that people have the right level of skill and knowledge to do their job, and the degree is not as high a priority. So I think we need to think about, when we're meeting an employer, what is their goal? Do they want people with formal credentials, or do they want people simply to have a particular set of skills and competencies? So the way that I've been seeing badges, at least up until now, and there may be a lot of other ways to, creative ways to look at them, but the way that I've been seeing them is that they're kind of a new way for a person to earn what I think of as kind of a micro-credential. They can assess smaller pieces of learning that might occur on the job or in a training program offered by an employer, and then these could add up to a larger badge, or they could become a part of a formal portfolio. And then if the person wanted that portfolio to be reviewed for college credit, they could come to Learning Counts. If they wanted it rolled up to simply prove to an employer that they had the knowledge, they could do that. And I used an example on the Mozilla website because I thought it was very interesting. The HTML basic badge that is in the Mozilla WebMaker series. Now, what it indicates is that the earner has completed multiple HTML mini badges, such as Code Whisperer, Editor, Image Maker, Hyperlinker, and what it says is that this badge earner has a functional understanding of HTML. So what you might then be able to ask is, this badge represents maybe a first step in one of some pathways toward perhaps becoming the Mozilla WebMaker Master. But then what you could ask is, well, if an employer wants degrees, what then might this become? Could this lead to a degree in web development? Couldn't it be fit in with some kind of a search that the person used in their workplace, in a career search, or for a formal credential? So I think that there's a lot of promise in linking badges to the degree program. And I think this is just a visual of that. I mean, there are college courses that could lead to a bachelor's degree, for example, in multimedia design and development. There's the badges that were part of the Mozilla WebMaker Master badge. And then there's work experience that could feed in, and volunteer work that could feed in. And so for those people that really are interested in a formal credential like a degree at whatever level, I do think that there's a way to pull them all together into a Learning Counts portfolio and then assess these for college credit. It seems very exciting to me that that this is now possible. So when you then say, okay, well, do we need formal credentials, or do we need competencies in a certain area? When do employers want formal credentials, and what's the difference between the two, or is there a difference? Is there a difference? And employers, I think, are probably beginning to ask, as they learn about this, what are the right badges? Who decides who gets a badge? Does an industry group decide? Does an individual employer decide? And who is assessing the competence of this individual? what role does the industry play in that? And I'm sure you're going to hear from Jennifer about the role that one industry is playing. And so I think all these are questions that employers have right now. And I guess I would say that what concerns me right now is that learners find a lot of these options fairly confusing. If they're trying to navigate a career path in a company, or if they're between jobs, or maybe they haven't entered the job market at all, and they want to know, what kind of certification or evidence do I need in the workplace? Can a badge be enough of a formal certification for the job that I'm seeking? Or should I be thinking about it as a path toward a degree? Or do I need a degree? And I think a lot of people are asking about their career paths and their career, their future, in light of the kinds of credentials that are going to be necessary. So those are all the kinds of questions that I think are out on the table right now that I think have really led to the fact that we're holding this MOOC to begin with, which I think is really a great idea. So just a few ideas in closing here before we have Jennifer and then a discussion. I think that perhaps this is how badges could work for employers and the employees in those companies and industries. I guess back to the micro-credential idea, I think that badges could represent sort of smaller chunks of competence, and they could be used not only for career paths, but for employee motivation, for even performance review done on employees. People could gain the competencies in a number of ways. They could gain them through online learning or classroom training or on the job experience, or they could learn it in peer chat room sessions. They could learn it through even independent study and reading. There could be a variety of ways that they would learn them. Smaller badges could then become prerequisites for higher level badges, kind of as they are in games when people play games. And those higher level badges could be then linked to the assessment of prior learning for college credit if someone would like to have a college degree, some other sort of post-secondary formal credential. So they could be useful in and of themselves, and they could also feed into certifications and degrees. I guess I would end up with the badging movement and the learning counts movement kind of working hand in hand in my mind, because they both require, as I said before, evidence, assessment of ability, and they also offer an open way of collecting and sharing badges or portfolios in the case of Learning Counts. And I guess what Learning Counts could do is bring the power of formal educational credentials to the table. It seems to me that faculty assessment and approval, while not needed in the badging movement generally, would be very important for those individuals who would like to have faculty approval or brokering it into a formal degree program. So that's, to me, the critical difference and a way that the two could link up. So let's think about the learning outcomes of courses, the learning outcomes of badges, kind of matching them up. You could say, would a badge be equal to several courses? Would several courses equate to a very large badge? And it could probably vary from one to one, and the crosswalks could be done. And I think it is doable. I think that there's been a number of crosswalks between military courses and training and college courses and training. The same thing could be done with industry training and badges or portfolios. So one thing I would kind of call for here as we wrap up and move into our discussion and the Manufacturing Institute is, I would say that regardless of whether employees need formal credentials, as in degrees and certificates, or they don't. In either case, I think what they need is career navigation assistance that their employers provide, because they need to get some help in determining the skills and knowledge that they need to gain and need to demonstrate, and how to do that. We do provide that kind of career navigation assistance, but we also train colleges and companies to provide that kind of career navigation assistance. And I think that is a critical piece of the picture with badges. Career navigation for everyone that is using badging or putting together a portfolio. So I guess I would just say that as my closing couple questions for you, what is the most useful to employers? And each employer needs to sort that out. What is the most useful for each individual employee, and helping them sort it out? And then, how do we combine and connect these options that are already there? And then, can people use these on a widespread basis? And if employers don't accept them, then will people use them? So how do we get employers to accept them on a broad scale basis? And the only way to get badges to motivate people to get skills is if employers recognize them. As we would say in closing, someone has to certify that you know it, and it has to matter to someone else. So I would say that those are the critical questions for us to sort out today. Thank you.